Hey everyone, this is Erin Ashley Simon.
This is Brandon Killabh.
And welcome to another episode of Grassroots Podcast, where it's not just about the past or the present, but it's also about the future and my ratchet friends.
Speaking of ratchet friends,
y'all look good at this. Jesus Christ.
That was professional, right?
You like that? You like that?
We were gonna use the sound effects, but we wanted to, scale it back a little bit. We want to give them too much.
No retakes. Cool.
Yeah, we nail that shit one take whole, but it's just. All right, forget it. Never mind. So we're here. Our guest for this evening is Mr. Lowkey. Now, before I go and give him the great introduction and go into his past and all this shit,
right?
He didn't bring the fucking bottle of Dusse, man.
Yeah. I was trying to remain professional, and I didn't want to come in here and we started talking loosey goosey. So maybe when I come back. We do an episode before.
Plug. I see what you did there.
Okay.
Bring separate bottles for the both.
He said when I come back or when we record at Dussepalooza.
Hey, well, it's at Hammerstein Ballroom right around the corner, so.
This guy is good.
I'm just, it's right there. You guys can.
This guy is good.
Record the episode, come have some fun, or record there.
Yo, the transition from Henny to Dusse. You see media training, product placement.
We have to. This is my livelihood. I got to be good at what I do. So.
All right, so I want to get into that.
Okay.
I want to get into how it all happened. Now, I know for listeners, it was one of those things where friends got together and it turned from a party to just straight business to just a wave.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Long story short, we started it at Cameron's house in East Harlem. Cameron McCullough is the founder and creator of Hennypalooza, Dussepalooza. And it was just a night that we didn't want to go to the club. At that time, we weren't really making that much money for ourselves. So, bottle service and sitting in lines just didn't sit well with us. So we were like, yo, send out a text to all the girls and like some of your guy friends and tell them to bring either a bottle of chicken or a bottle of Hennessy or chicken. Mm-hmm. And that was the most niggified invite that we could ever send out. It worked. It worked.
Did they bring the hot sauce though?
Well, we had the hot sauce there. We had all the amenities there, but we just need the chicken and the Hennessy. And it turned into this beautiful, game night, and then it turned into a big party. And when we checked the hashtag the next morning, we were just so blown away that people were like, "Yo, what's this Hennypalooza? How come I wasn't invited? When's the next one?" So, we did the next one in this art gallery in Soho. We sold tickets. Actually, we had RSVP, so people had RSVP to come in. But from then on, we did another one in Harlem. We did one at Tammany Hall, and then we started traveling with it, and it just became this big phenomenon. With day parties, because in the city at the time, day parties weren't really, they were popping, but they weren't that prevalent. Mm-hmm. So now you see every Saturday there's a day party somewhere. Yeah. Whether, whoever it is, there's a day party. So not to say we started that wave, but we added on to it and we kind of just shaped it into our own. So to transition to Dussepalooza, me and Lenny are, very cool. I consider him one of my mentors. I've known him for about 10 to 12 years. And last year, we tried to have a conversation about forming, an alliance with them, but the numbers weren't right, and the conversation really didn't match to what we were trying to talk about. So we went back on the road. Me and Cam reapproached Lenny. We took him to lunch and said, hey, we want to reapproach this discussion, and not as like a buyout, but as a partnership. Mm-hmm. And, one thing led to another. The numbers were right. They understood our vision. Obviously, the other brand didn't. They didn't want to understand our vision, and it's no shade to them, but
shade, mad shade.
No, we're not.
Mad shade, sprinkle shade.
We're not.
Dusse over here.
But it's they didn't put any money in our pocket. They didn't put any products in, to our parties, and we weren't really asking for anything, but just support. Yeah. And obviously, people drink Hennessy without us, so it's not like they needed us. But it would just be cool for us to be attached to them and to get the official cosign. Dusse saw that this is a brand that they can align themselves with. Dusse is still getting hot in the streets. Why not come over and link with us? Because we are hot in the streets and we are moving from city to city. And, we have a nice following. And, it just made sense. And funny story is that when we took Lenny to lunch that day, he calls us that night and he was like, yo, listen, Jay called me, and Jay didn't know that we had met. So Jay was like, yo, why isn't those Hennypalooza guys working with us? Go find them. But he didn't know that Lenny had already linked up with us, had the conversation started. So we already had gotten the blessings from him from the top before we even put together any plans. So it was, it was in God's plan, as cheesy as that sounds.
So how is it for you guys? You're working with a brand that you guys like at the time with Henny, but they weren't giving you guys the specific support that you were looking for. But it's kind of like this weird situation where it's like you're making them money and you're giving them brand awareness, but you weren't receiving that in-kind support back.
Yeah, I mean, we just looked at it like we didn't understand why. And I could understand why, because you have a day party, with open bar Hennessy, and it's a bunch of Negroes, and you're looking like something's going to happen. Like, someone's getting arrested, someone's fighting, something's going to happen. And in the 5 years we've done it, nothing has ever happened. We've never had any incidences. We've never had any brawls, Any venue that we've worked with, you can go back and ask them how we were easy to work with. So it wasn't, we weren't a liability. I look at it like they didn't create it. So maybe they want to stand next to us because they didn't create something like that. Because that's so easy. How do you let something like that, come up under your wing and you have no parts of it? So I just think that, they didn't understand it. But again, they didn't need us. They don't need us. They never will need us. But for us to create so much brand awareness outside of what they were doing was phenomenal on our part, and everybody saw that. So obviously Hennessy's, they're going to be fine without us, but it was time for us to link with a brand that understood what we were about and what we wanted to do in the future.
I feel like with brands though, at some point there's always that one guy in the office that understands the culture and is in the know. Somebody in that office is probably kicking themselves in the ass like, yo, how we dropped the ball on this? I
mean, if that's the case, and that's the case, some people may not see it, and again, this is no shade to them. It's just it wasn't in the stars. And I'm sure they're gonna be all right without us. Actually, they will be all right without us. But we needed to be with with people who are like-minded, business-wise and culture-wise. And Dusse was the right, we're family over there. We have a lot of people over there that we know. Shout out to Brian, Schaefer, Lenny, Elaine, all of them. They understood it.
Does this give Dussepalooza kind of like a new meaning, even beyond just the fact that now it's called Dussepalooza, but like, does it give it a whole new meaning now that you're dealing with a brand and individuals that are associated with a Black-owned company? I mean,
it gives it a new, like a fresh start, but a different, like you said, a different meaning, because we are linking with a Black-owned company. We are linking with someone like Jay-Z, who's done so much for his community and his friends and his peers, that it makes sense for us to be under his wing, because we're doing the same thing for our community, our peers, and our culture. Obviously, Hennypalooza or Dussepalooza is Black-owned. It started in a Black neighborhood, and it's run by Black men. You know what I'm saying? So why not link with someone like, Rock Nation, S. Carter Enterprises? Like, that's home. We have to. It makes no sense not to be there.
That just makes sense.
It just makes sense to be right there with them. So, and they're letting us run our ship. They're not coming in. They're not throwing the Rock Nation flag all over the place. This is what we've created. They know what we're good at, and they just wanted to help, spiff it up a little bit more.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so we're proud to be a part of that family.
So, I mean, that's admirable in itself. But now I would like to dive into you. Pause. I want to dive in to you. Like, you do a lot. You work for Beats. You do a lot. So I want to talk about you in the sense of, where did you get your first start, your first opportunity in this industry?
I mean, there was so many different little things. I started at BET back in 2008. Kim Osorio, former editor-in-chief of The Source, she was editor-in-chief over there at BET.com, and she found me on the blog sites and pretty much wanted me to come to BET to do the same thing, but for their blog and for their website. And then from there, I would just, get little experiences with, internships, and I got to, understand what the industry was about and how things moved around, and like the open bars and like the trips, and like I was meeting everybody, interviewing people, and it was just like I didn't know that world. My world with the entertainment industry was blogging, and that was it. And I had a little stint with Puff back in like 2004 during the Vote or Die days. I was like an intern at Bad Boy, so like between those two, like that was my prior industry experience. And I just knew I loved music, and I knew I loved to write and cover, the culture, the events, and just listen to music and mixtapes, all that stuff. I was just a fan of it. And I hadn't have nowhere to put it when I was in college. So I had a radio show at Howard University, so I did that for 3 years, and that was like my only outlet to like, you know what I mean? So like that's where the radio thing started. And then, the blog thing started when I graduated college. I was living with my parents. My mother said to me, she was like, you have 6 months to figure something out. If you don't figure anything out, you have to move to Maryland with your aunt. Like you literally.
That's like normally what happens.
Yeah, she was like, you got 6 months to figure it out. And at the time I was working at a hotel, Doubletree Hotel in New Brunswick, and I started the website with a friend of mine. He went to American University in D.C. And I asked him one day, I was like, what do you say when you hear new music? Like, what do you say when a new Jay-Z album drops or whomever is popping at the time? It's like, yo, you heard that new ... And from there, that's when I knew, like, okay, this is perfect.
Yeah.
And the site was, was adding stuff to the culture that wasn't involved. Like, we had exclusives. We were talking shit. We were just having fun. I felt like at that time, blogs were just getting, recognized. And labels hated us. Radio stations hated us, DJs hated us, personalities hated us because we were shifting where the attention was. The attention wasn't on radio as much because now everybody's on their phones, their tablets, their computers, and that's how they download music. This is before streaming was popping. This is like when Audio Mac and SoundCloud wasn't a factor. These are things that, weren't around when we were actually making online popular. And this is Not Right, Two Dope Boys, OK Player, On Smash, Miss Info, like all those sites. Those are the sites that really brought, blogging into the forefront, and that's what it is today.
Yeah. Now, after you reach a certain pinnacle, it kind of feels like you're transitioning now because you're doing so many other things, and now you're becoming more of a business person in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, what made that? Why did that transition?
I'm older. I'm getting old. I'm 35 years old, and as much fun as blogging used to be, I can't just be sitting behind a computer talking shit. You know what I mean? Like, I have to be out there. Like, that's why, the whole trap karaoke thing helps me because I get to go city to city and actually, be who I want to be on stage. Hennypalooza / Dussepalooza, that helped me be a host. The radio show, that helped me learn about different music from different cities and different states and different countries. So now I'm starting to find things outside of, our culture, things outside of New York City. I get to go to different cities and meet different people and experience different things. But I had to, have a conversation with myself, like, okay, we did 10 years of digital work. Like, what are we going to do next? Where are we going to put our map up? Like, where are we going to, be a person of the culture? Like, yes, you're Lowkey from You Heard That New. Everybody knows that. What's next after that?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at right now, trying to figure out, do I want to create? Do I still want to, be on stage? Again, like I said, I'm getting older, so running around on stage is getting weary too. So now you got to find something else that's going to give you that much revenue, that much experience, and that much awareness in the culture. So I constantly have these conversations like, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next? And it's fun, but it's it's nerve-wracking too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't be. Wait, didn't they hoist up like some big girl at one of your Palooza events?
That happens a lot. That happens a lot. No shade to the big girls, but that does
No, of course not. But I was just, when you were saying I'm getting old, I remember I saw a clip where you guys you had to get some.
No,
can't lift them no more.
I don't. But see, I'm not that person at Hennypalooza. Like, I do my stage work, but Chris Styles, he's the guy that's dancing and lifting the girls up.
Okay.
That's his steez. But I personally, I just can't do it. I don't have the power to do it. I don't need to be doing it either. So
now, since you're kind of trying to figure out what you're gonna do past blogging and writing and everything like that, now we're kind of getting into a new day and age where blogging is not the big influence when it comes to music anymore. So where do you see that shift moving towards?
I mean, it's just social media. It's the chatter on social media. It's the retweets. It's the likes. It's the Instagram posts. The cosign is gone. The digital cosign is gone. You don't need a site to cosign any artist anymore. We just, people are posting what they like. Back in the day, if Not Right or if us or if Two Dope Boys or OK Player, whomever, if they posted it, then that's oh, these niggas are official. Now I got to follow them. Now it's if academics, post your shit. And it's even that is starting to get played out because we know who he posts. We see who he posts. So now it's okay, what is he really a fan of the culture or is he just buddy with these niggas?
Yeah.
So now we can't there's certain people we can't take serious. Yeah. And it's we can see through it. You feel what I'm saying? So it's now the fan is pretty much just choosing what they want without us telling them what to do. It's cool if we, play a certain song at the party or if we talk about a certain song on Twitter, but the fans ain't looking at us anymore. They're looking just They're going on Apple, they're going on Spotify, they're going on Tidal, and they're picking out their favorite songs, and they're telling us, like, no, this is what the shit is. And we got to actually, you know, relinquish that control and let the fans be the fans again. It's like, what do y'all listen to? What do y'all like? There's nothing wrong with that. But I think, you know, the cosign, like I said, I think people with opinions, you know, the people like me with opinions, it's not what it used to be. And the more we come to terms with that, it's just like, okay, like, we had a nice run. It was cool. It was fun, but that shit get told. Like, niggas don't want to be told what to do and what to like and where to go. Like, it's just the influencer thing. Like, that had its run. Now it's just let people do what they do, and, you know, everybody has their pocket of what they like, and that's it.
Do you feel that, like, obviously when you started, there was only a few really notable big ones, but now it's such an oversaturated market. Do you feel that because it's being oversaturated and the distance between the blogs and websites and the artists is coming together in a sense where people, you know, may consider academics as like, is he a fan or is he actually like reporting on them? Is that, do you think that kind of like gray area is hurting music in a sense?
I mean, like, you can't, the funny thing about it, which is why I kind of fell back from blogging, like, just like I lost my love for it, is because you can't be a fan anymore. You know, like, we all started these sites. We all, you know, I'm sure Academics is a fan too, but we all started these things because we were a fan of music, right? And we wanted to cover, you know, what we liked. And it was like, yo, this is dope. This is something you guys, like, we were the gatekeepers. Yeah. There aren't any more gatekeepers. It's just the gate is open. So whoever wants to come in and find shit, cool. But the gate is gonna be flooded. Everything is just coming out and it's coming out. And because now everyone knows how to do everything, everyone knows how to make a blog, and everyone has an opinion, but no one has an experience. You know, like, I had my job at BET for about 4 years, and I covered and I learned and I studied. And even before that, I had my internships and I had my radio station at Howard University. So I was doing things that was, you know, bettering my awareness of the culture. But I feel like now, if you got a Twitter account, you can be the next whomever. And it doesn't really add any validation to your opinion or what you're co-signing or what you're stamping. It's just like, oh, this nigga's talking shit today. So, but then it becomes a repetitive thing where people start to go back to this page, like, what did he say today? Or what is he, and not even about music, just about the culture, like, what is he talking about? Or who got beat up? Or, you know what I mean? And then that forms into, you're not talking about the music. You're not critiquing the music. You critiquing Instagram videos. And, like, that's what it's come to? Yeah. Like, I think DJ Booth is, like, the only site that does album reviews.
Shout out to DJ Booth, by the way.
Oh, DJ Booth was, like, Cass said this earlier. I think he was, like, DJ Booth was, like, one of the last websites that people really, really, really give a fuck about, because they write. They still, like, they write, and they write their asses off. So I think, you know, sites like that are very, very, like, they're gold. But now everything is just, you wake up, and what do? We go on Twitter, see who said what, go on Instagram, see who posted what, and that's it.
But that's what we were talking about with Brian. Brian is from DJ Booth. Shout out to them. We talked a lot about that. That's what he was saying about our platform and how we like to engage with our audience and our guests, and how, like, that essence of connecting with your audience it's lost at that point, and it's a constant struggle. I wonder what would be the next evolution of that, though. Because, you know, it goes in stages. It goes from blogging to Twitter to, I guess, meme posts to I would say even podcasts to, like, even now, like, YouTube shows. What do you think would be, like, the next thing?
I think podcasts, honestly. I think podcasts are the next huge wave, because you have people like The Read, you have people like Joe Budden shit, you have people like Rap Radar, you have people like there's a bunch of these podcasts that are reconnecting people with conversation and reconnecting people with, you know, music and valid opinions. You know, people aren't, you know, when you listen to The Read or you listen to Joe Budden shit, the people, they're talking about, you know, legitimate shit. You know, they're not running their mouths, and they're not clowning people, and they're not, you know, being rude or being disrespectful, but this is something like, okay, like, that conversation makes sense, or I didn't think about it like that. And, you know, with Joe being who he is, and then Rory and Maul, like, that dynamic is great. And then you got B-Dot and Elliot, you know, their history. And then you got, you know, Kid Fury and Crystal, like, they're just great at what the fuck they do. Yeah. You know, and shout out to Combat Jack, and rest in peace. Obviously, he was you know, the man that put it in place. But I think these podcasts are very, very important because they're telling a story. you know, they're telling a story of the culture, their story, and it's intriguing. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not too much to listen to, but it's fun. So yeah, I personally think podcasts will, you know, carry the torch for the connection between the fan and the consumer.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you go through your day to day, and let's say you have a up and coming personality, that wants to do things, what are some of the things that you give them from an advice perspective?
So like a new personality trying to come up.
Yeah.
Study your history. Study the competition. Study, you know, what's missing. Be yourself. Understand the lane that what you're doing and what you're taking, and stand out. You know, you could be the loudest person in the room, but if you're not adding value to anything, then what are we talking about? So yeah, I would just tell them, like, just have fun. Like, that's the main thing with me. Like, if you stop having fun, then it becomes a job.
Yeah.
And then now you're just like, you're doing it because it's a check. You're doing it because everyone else is doing it. You're not doing it because you want to do it. You're not doing it to find different ways to, you know, create from that lane that you're in. If you're just going to keep doing what everybody else is doing, then what's the point? You know, you're going to be a crab in a barrel, and it's just like y'all pulling each other down because everybody's doing the same exact thing. So that's why I tell people just to keep having fun. If you're not having fun, don't do it.
Now, when you're saying, like, to study people who are doing it or studying people that are successful in what they're doing, how, for people who are listening who kind of want to become these personalities, like, how do you distinguish the difference from studying as in like taking what they're doing well and applying it in your own way versus, like, sometimes people taking what they're doing and trying to imitate it?
Well, I think consumers are smart enough to understand the difference. I think what has to happen is you have to appreciate what these guys and girls have done before you. You know, you look at a Terrence J, you know, you look at a Kerry Champion, like, just in different you know, genres of the culture, and where they've come from, you know, what they've done to get there. Like, it's all there. You can read about any of these people. And you can look at that and be like, okay, how is this similar to my story? You know, what do I want to do that's, one, going to be different from their story, but a tribute to the actual culture? You feel what I'm saying? So I think, you know, it's just studying the history of these people, like Ryan Seacrest and Terrence J and, you know, Big Tigger. Like, there's so many people out there, Ebro, like Charlemagne. There are so many stories out there that you can look at, and they all do different things. You know, so you can pick and choose what lane you want to go in and see what they didn't do. You know, when they were coming up, the resources weren't there like they are right now. You know, we can sit in a room with our computer and have our own radio show. Charlemagne and Ebro had to go to a station every day, you know, and actually do work and, you know, talk to people and read about shit. Now we can just sit at home and I think that makes us a little bit more lazier. Yeah. But there's no excuse for us not to be able to get to these next steps and to create projects and to do things that, you know, our past folks couldn't do. So I think we're a little bit lazy, but if they want to do the work, it's there to be done. I just think people don't want to do it. I think people, because of Twitter, because of Instagram, things happen so quick. So now they're expecting, like, well, I'm on Twitter and I'm reaching people that's in Japan, but they don't know your story. If you can't get your people in New York or if you can't get your people in D.C. to fuck with you, niggas in Japan and Australia ain't gonna give a shit about you neither. Yeah. So it's like the legwork, the dirty nails, the scars, the failure, all that has to happen before you reach any kind of platform. If you think you're gonna coast through this shit, you know, clean white tee and not get dirty and not get pushed down and not get denied, then you're looking for a rude awakening. And I was with that person too, but you know, you gotta fail. You gotta be depressed. You gotta go through these motions of, like, do I need to be doing this? Like, when you start going through that shit, that means this is something that you want to do. If you don't go through that, then you're not really doing it the right way. Personally, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, we touched on academics earlier, and it took me for a kind of a loop. And I thought about that, what you said as far as, like, studying the culture and studying just people. And this is just open for all of us. Do you guys think that Complex studied Star and then implementing him into Everyday Struggle? Like, do you think they did enough homework on him to kind of understand how that dynamic would actually work?
I think the people who make the decisions, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they did study Star. You know, it's a person like him you got to do your research on.
Yeah.
So you got to know what kind of thing you're walking into that building. And I think they knew what it was, but it's also complex. So they are going to do certain things to rattle the headboard. So this was one of those things because before that, we weren't watching that show.
Yeah.
We didn't care about it. Like when Joe left, it was like, okay, well, that run is over. But as soon as he came, it's like, oh shit, because we knew what was gonna happen. Just like they knew. They're not dumb. They knew the response they were gonna get when they had Star on that show. It was just like, even I was like, oh shit, like this is about to be. And then you have someone like Academics who does know, what he's talking about in some cases. So it makes it for a good dynamic because Star's not going to really buy into the bullshit. He'll be very, very adamant about that. Joe gave him some leeway. Joe, let him talk himself into a hole. Star won't do that. And I think that's what's needed. I think you have to have a chin check, and sometimes Academics will chin check him because Star is so far removed from what's going on nowadays. And I think they complement each other. So I'm not mad at it. And I like that they added Wayno because Wayno's, we know his history.
Yeah.
So it's very, now the dynamic is it's sticking better than it was, personally. That's how.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I kind of think that they knew and they studied, but I don't think they were really prepared for it.
Yeah.
I don't think, because, like,
you can't prepare for that kind of monster.
You can't really compare for like someone like Star, like those old school radio people who just did not care.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they will tell artists, "You got a problem with me? Come meet me here."
Yeah.
Like there's people aren't like that now. Like people will act tough and stuff, but then like when it's away from cameras, they'll be like, "Oh, we cool." Like that kind of caliber is just not. It's just not around anymore. So they probably didn't understand. Until it's like, oh, crap.
Yeah, his pedigree is very different from what's going on.
Yeah.
I think Ebro has that pedigree, but he just does it for fun. But Star was just like, they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And he still doesn't.
So, speaking of Ebro, what is it like working in that regime under the whole Beats audio?
Ebro's annoying. That's one thing. Ebro's fucking annoying. But he's annoying in a Big Brother way where it's like, he continuously tells you suck just so you work harder.
Yeah.
And he told me one thing. And I was worried about, when I was working there. Well, I'm still working there, but like I was going through a period where I was just like, man, I don't know if this is what I want to do. I don't know if they're fucking with me. He was like, if your key card still works, they're still fucking with you. So all that self-doubt, just leave that shit at the door. Like if your key card is good and your email still works, you're fine.
What's the best advice he's given you outside of the key card working?
The best advice Ebro's given me is, you trash. Because Ebro's been in radio for what, like 20 plus?
Yeah, he's got like 22 years.
Yeah, like 22, 23 years. So I've been doing radio for maybe 3?
Yeah.
So he was like, nigga, you trash. Like you just got here.
Yeah, I guess he could say that.
Yeah.
When you think
but
about
when you think about it, it's like, okay, now I want to really, show why I belong in this regime. Obviously they put me in that position because they thought, my craft was, well enough for that platform. But that's when the work starts. Just because you got to that platform, the work now, it really starts. Can you hold our attention? Can you fill in for me when I'm not there? And I filled in for him like 4 times already. But now you got to do the legwork. Yeah. Now you really got to study the music. Now you really got to understand what's going on.
That's when the real challenge comes.
Yeah.
That's when the real challenge comes.
So he was like, you're trash.
Do you ever have any issues where it's like people giving you problems because you're associated with someone else or they know that you are cool with someone else? For example, Ebro, he's kind of like a brother to you, Has there ever been any situations where something that he said ended up affecting some sort of relationship that you have or someone that knows that you're associated with him having a problem with you because of that association? I
wouldn't say like a necessary problem. Conversations have been had.
Yeah, it happened.
It happened. Yeah, like, well, no, but the thing about it is like I'm my own individual, and people know I will speak up if I have something to say. So like if I have an opinion, if I have something to say, I'll say it. Like I have no problem. Like I've been in issues with Fab and fucking Ross and J. Cole and Jeezy. Like I've had my fair share of back and forth. So I look at it like nowadays, if it's not worth it, like it's pointless. But yeah, like with Ebro, like that's my nigga. That's always gonna be my nigga. And we've had conversations with people like, yo, your man is da-da-da-da. I'm like, listen, that's That's his opinion, and that's how he feels. If you got a problem with it, you say something to him about it. Because I'm not going to go and be like, hey, someone doesn't like what you... And he going to laugh me out the room.
Yeah.
I'm like, get the fuck out of my face with that shit. So I'm like, yo, if you got a problem with him, you got to approach him. And that's what... And Ebro's always open to a conversation.
He seems like that, though.
Always,
even with all of the criticism that he takes on his opinions and just some of the things that he says, even when he's wrong and or when he's right, he seems very vocal.
He's always been vocal about, like, we can have a conversation. Yeah. It's not nothing to have a conversation. You're an adult. You're a man. You're supposed to. Like, I don't agree with you. This is why. Like, people can't do that nowadays, especially when you're on Twitter. As soon as you say you don't like something, you either hate it or you're just, like, trying to cause trouble. It's like, no, I don't like that because of X, Y, and Z. But, you, like, people don't know how to have an intellectual dialogue about disagreeing. And if you can't come to an agreement, you disagree to, agree to disagree and move on.
Well, that's the thing. We do live in the age of trolling.
Right, but like how much longer are we going to continue to do that and then shit gets lost in the shuffle?
I don't know. Ask Ice.
Nigga, that's your man. You ask him. Like I didn't create that monster. Y'all niggas did. Like y'all created that kid. That's why he is. Yeah.
Shout out to Ice. But it's the truth though. It's like one of those things where you never know. Like for a while, the fake RT on Twitter was a thing. Like like artists really got mad and would get into trouble because people would fake RT content, them saying crazy shit or them dissing another artist.
But that opened up another can of worms of how sensitive artists really are.
Yeah.
Twitter really exposed how sensitive these artists are, and I think when people who haven't lived their lives or who don't create art or who aren't from these places, they feel as though like you can't speak on what I'm doing or what I'm creating. And if we're just talking about the art, I can critique it.
Yeah.
I don't like it, or I'm not a fan of it, or I do love it. But I'm not critiquing you as a person, the personality or your cloth. It's just like, yo, this song, I don't resonate with it, or it sounds bad. And you had so many people critiquing music on Twitter, and these artists were just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Now you hear people talking about, like, when artists create, now you hear people talking about Twitter, criticism. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? Like, not criticism from their peers, but people on Twitter that have no value or whatever. Not to say people don't have value, but like, who are they in a world of music? They're just a fan. And when did that get so prevalent where you can't say I don't like something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just like,
you touched on that before in a previous episode where
they come for us.
Yeah, like we constantly get scrutinized just for our opinions on things or whatever, and then we wind up being right about shit.
Yeah.
And then they don't say anything. But I just think it's funny that in the day and age where this is supposed to be kind of like the time where you're supposed to be able to kind of speak your mind and be open, just given all of the world events. It's probably one of the more sensitive times in America, like where everything is on eggshells.
I mean, well, like I said, social media has given people with no voice a voice. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? So it's like the most smallest thing you could find a group of people that are upset about it. And like everybody has their right to feel how they want to feel. Like I'm not saying anyone is wrong, but like we can't consistently make these small moles into huge mountains. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's music, whether it's relationships, whether it's politics, religion, like there are certain things that are just not that debatable. You know what I mean? I think we debate everything. Yeah. We make everything an issue, especially in music. And it's just like, this is what it really come to? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's like when you wake up on Twitter, you look to see who's debating what. Now, we're not talking about music. We're not talking about who just put out a fire project. We're talking about who just got knocked out.
I definitely do that. Even though I'm always late to news anyway, but I definitely do.
I mean? Like, that's the regular thing, and it's just like, fuck.
It reminded me of when everyone was debating about that dress, the color of that dress.
Bro,
like, is it blue or is it?
Like, are we really debating this? Like,
really
they were serious about it too.
That shit went on for a week.
But it's like certain things like that then spiral other conversations. Like, well, bitch, you can't see, or y'all can't dress, or this is why y'all ain't got money. And it's like, what's the color of the dress, my nigga? We're not talking about family incomes or social status. What's the color of the dress? But like those little arguments will spawn so much other nonsense that you get caught up in. It's like a rabbit hole of bullshit. You ever get caught up in a rabbit hole when you're on YouTube just watching random ass videos? Yeah. And you just like for an hour or 2 hours. That's how Twitter is. Yeah. You get one conversation, you find another one, and then now you're like knee deep in Black Twitter or whatever Twitter, just for no reason.
So do you feel like that previous limitations on character numbers for Twitter, do you think that kind of assisted with dumbing down conversations, or was it something else that kind of like started that decline? Because I feel like now people can't really even have, like you said, intellectual conversations or debate. It's like you got a certain amount of characters and you just say fuck your mama, like
if you don't agree with somebody,
like that's it. Like you don't even say okay why. You know,
I mean, like I said before, everything doesn't need a debate. You know, I just think some people just aren't. What happens with Twitter debates is you may say something, like say me and you were debating about top 5 that are alive, right? Okay. So I may say my 5, you say your 5, and then you may disagree with like my number 1 artist. So now you're giving me your disagreements, but you're firing off all your points. So I'm reading stuff, and I want to respond to that. I want to respond to that. I want to respond to that. So now I'm getting caught up in all the shit that you're saying, but I'm missing points, and I'm forgetting shit, and now I'm getting upset because it's like I'm disagreeing with you so much, I can't even form a thought. Where it's just like
it's like arguing with your girl,
right? And dead ass. It's like there's so many things to fucking pick apart. But like you just rapid fire, boom, 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 and you may be right in some sense, but it's just like I can't find the medium of where to do it. Yeah. So I think that's why they added the characters. But then on the flip side, it's like I don't want to read a book of your response on Twitter. You feel what I'm saying? I want to read a whole dissertation of why you think $200 dates are stupid. Like it's just like those like little
that turns into who hurt you.
Yeah, then it just like I said, then it goes and it goes and it goes. So it's just like. It's good and it's bad. It just depends like who you're talking to and what you're talking about. Yeah.
So what's next for you? What is you've done a lot in what people could say is a short span of time. What is the next venture for you? Where's Lowkey?
The next venture is 2 things.
Oh shit, this nigga already got it. All right.
No, yeah, I have to. 2 things. So it's one, me and Koza are starting a podcast called Mama Knows Best.
Oh, hold on. You competition now? Hold on.
Very soon.
All right, cut. Thank you guys for coming on. This is Erin. This is Brandon.
It's a podcast called Mama Knows Best, where we interview celebrity moms.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah, and we've already got 2 episodes in the can. We did Just Blaze's mom. And Talib Kweli's mom.
Wait, are we gonna have to hold this off until you guys release?
You can say yeah. We've already.
I just had to double check.
No,
we're leaking it.
We're good. We're good money. So yeah, we're in the midst of like putting those episodes in because we're gonna do a season. We're doing season, so we're gonna put we're gonna record like 5 episodes, 5-6 episodes per season, and then just shoot them out.
Dope.
So that's one, and then the next thing is I'm creating a TV. Well. Like a web series. Now that I can't really say what it is. I'll tell you guys off camera.
Okay. That's all matters.
Yeah, so it's like a web series. It has to deal with rappers and liquor.
Okay.
2 of my favorite things.
All right.
So yeah, that's what I'll be working on for the rest of the year. And then obviously Dussepalooza, trap karaoke, and other stuff.
Word. Dusse over here.
Yes.
I gotta tell y'all about Lowkey at Old Night, man. He came in, had a table, and
no. First off, no, I didn't.
In my story, you do. So he had a table, and the waitress came over and was asking about what he wanted to order. He looked at the menu.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He looked at the menu. And he was like, "There's no Dusse here," and he shoved the lady up. I was like, "This is the Dusse table." What
in my story, I was sitting at y'all table, and we had shrimp, we had wings, and I had 2 Dusses. So thank you, Highline Ballroom, for being very hospitable. I appreciate that.
Nah, but we appreciate you.
Yes.
We want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Much success. Learned a lot from you actually today, just about growth and things like that. So that's always dope. As always, check us out, Grassroots Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. For our music submissions, because we also do that as well. We evaluate music. That's contact grassrootspodcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, for our Audio Mac playlist.
And that's for Audio Mac. Yeah, that's family. Shout out to Audio Mac. And then also in the link for this video is our group me chat. Again, you guys can join. You can talk with me and Erin and the rest of our crew. And
that's fire.
Yeah. No, hold on. Don't try to steal our shit.
Really connected to the
shit.
Okay, that's fire.
Yeah, we got 103.
Yeah, 103.
Y'all be in there debating?
Yeah,
I'm about to jump in that
Yo,
shit.
that shit's fire.
We talk about everything. We talk about like new music,
We
just
talk
everything.
The other dude,
sports.
His girl, he went and it was on Valentine's Day. This was fucked up. Shout out. I'm not gonna say his name, but I felt so bad. Long story short, because I know we run on time, but he had bought his girl a whole bunch of stuff and he was hyped about it. It was like, yeah, this is Valentine's Day. And she said, she hit him with one of those, look, I think we need time. He had already given her the gift, so I felt horrible.
Wait, after the fact?
Yeah.
She a bozo.
Yeah, so I was like, man,
that's whack.
Now thinking about it, has he been in the chat? Is he all right?
I think so,
That nigga's probably, If y'all don't know he been in the chat, he hasn't been in the chat.
No, I think he's been in the chat because, like, we're supportive. Like, we're all like, yo, fuck that shit.
Fuck up.
Yeah, fuck her.
Yeah, so
I like that.
We're a family. We're a family. So, yeah, but that's it. I'm Brandon, Killabh Hall.
I'm Erin Ashley Simon.
Lowkey from You Heard That New, Beats One, Trap Karaoke, Dussepalooza, Mama Knows Best, and Bar for Bar.
All right. Fuck out of here. We out of here. Peace.